The space station called Harmony floated in the darkness between stars. It was beautiful. Glass and metal twisted together like a frozen flower. Inside, creatures from 43 different worlds walked through its halls. They came here every year to talk about peace. Captain Do-Yun Park stood alone near a large window. He watched the stars and thought about Earth. His home was very far away now. Behind him, aliens of all shapes moved past. Some had wings. Some had too many eyes. Some floated instead of walking. None of them came close to him. Do-Yun was used to this. Humans had joined the Galactic Coalition only 5 years ago. The other species were still afraid of them. They whispered words like Deathworld when humans walked by. Earth was a planet of heavy gravity, terrible storms, and animals with sharp teeth. To the gentle creatures of the galaxy, humans were monsters from a nightmare world. His crew waited nearby. Lieutenant Yuna Kwan checked her tablet, her dark eyes sharp and focused. Sergeant Tae-Woo-han leaned against a pillar. His massive arms crossed over his chest. Dr. Hana Choi spoke quietly with a small alien about medicine. They were all good people, strong people. Do-Yun trusted them with his life. The peace meeting had been boring. Speeches about trade and friendship. Promises that meant nothing. Do-Yun was ready to return to their ship when the lights flickered. A voice came through every speaker in the station. It was high and thin like wind through broken glass. The voice was crying. "Please," the voice said. "Please help us. They are killing us. They are burning our world." Everyone stopped moving. The great hall became silent. A hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed a creature that looked like a moth made of silver light. Her wings were torn. Her large eyes were wet with tears. "Ambassador Lyrian of the Valuri Collective? The Krath Dominion has invaded our home," Lyrian said. Her voice shook badly. "Their ships fill our sky. Their soldiers walk through our cities. We have no weapons. We have no army. We never needed them before." The hologram changed. It showed a planet of crystal towers and purple forests. Beautiful. Then fire fell from the sky. The towers broke. The forests burned. Small silver creatures ran through the streets, screaming. "We beg the coalition for help," Lyrian said. "Send your ships. Send your soldiers. Save our children, please. We will give anything." The hologram ended. Silence filled the hall. Do-Yun looked around. He saw the faces of the alien ambassadors. He saw fear in their eyes, but not fear for the Valuri. Fear for themselves. The ambassador from the Tauran Republic spoke first. He was a tall creature with blue skin and no mouth. His voice came from a box on his chest. "The Krath are too powerful. We cannot risk war with them." Others agreed. The Melwi said their fleet was too small. The Gruthans said the journey was too far. The Yenish said they had their own borders to protect. One by one, they refused. One by one, they turned away from the crying moth woman in the hologram. Do-Yun felt something hot rise in his chest. He had felt this before. On Earth, in the old wars when strong nations watched weak nations burn. History repeated itself, even among the stars. He looked at his crew. Yuna's jaw was tight with anger. Taewa's hands had become fists. Hannah wiped tears from her eyes. They did not need to speak. They already knew. Do-Yun stepped forward. His boots made a loud sound on the metal floor. Every alien in the room turned to look at him. The human. The Deathworlder. "Earth will answer," Do-Yun said. The silence became deeper. He could feel their shock, their confusion, their fear. The Tauran ambassador made a sound like choking. "One ship? Against the Krath Armada? You will die." "Maybe," Do-Yun said, "but we will not look away." "This is madness," another alien said. "What can humans do?" "You are young. You are few. You do not understand war at this scale." Do-Yun smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a man who had read too many history books, who knew what his species had survived. "We understand war better than anyone in this room," he said quietly. We have been fighting since before we could write. We have burned our own cities and rebuilt them. We have killed millions of our own kind and learned to live together anyway. We are still here." He looked at the hologram, at the frozen image of Ambassador Lyrian's tearful face. "You call our world a death world," Do-Yun continued. "You are right. Earth tried to kill us every day for 1,000,000 years. But we did not die. We became stronger, faster, harder, and we learned something that your peaceful worlds never taught you." He turned back to the silent crowd. "We learned that some things are worth dying for." The alien ambassadors had no answer. They simply stared. Do-Yun nodded to his crew. "Back to the horizon. We leave in 1 hour." They walked out of the great hall together. 4 humans against an empire. The aliens watched them go with wide eyes. As they reached the door, a voice called out. Ambassador Lyrian's hologram flickered back to life. Her silver face was full of wonder and confusion. "Why?" she asked. "You do not know us. You owe us nothing. Why would you die for strangers?" Do-Yun stopped. He thought about the question. It was a good question. The smart answer was that it made no sense. The logical answer was to stay safe, but humans were never very good at being smart or logical. "Because you asked," he said simply, "and we were able to help." Then he walked out, his crew behind him, toward a battle that everyone said they could not win. The stars waited. The Valori waited. And the Deathworlders went to war. The horizon cut through space like a knife through dark water. It was not a big ship. It was not a beautiful ship. But it was fast, and it was tough, and it carried humans inside it. In the medical bay, Dr. Hannah Choi sat across from Ambassador Lyrian. The moth-like alien had come aboard to guide them to her world. She was small and fragile, with wings like thin glass and eyes like pools of silver. She had stopped crying, but her hands still shook. "I do not understand," Lyrian said softly. "Why did your captain agree to help? The other species have bigger fleets, more soldiers, more weapons." "But they said no." Hannah smiled gently. "Would you like some water? Or maybe tea?" "I cannot drink your water. It would poison me." Oh, Hannah paused. "What about warmth? Are you cold?" Lyrian stared at her. "You are trying to make me comfortable. Even now, as you fly toward death." "That is what humans do," Hannah said. "We take care of each other. Even strangers." Lyrian was quiet for a moment. Then she asked, "What is Earth like?" "I have only heard stories. Terrible stories." Hannah thought about her home, the green mountains of her childhood, the busy streets of Seoul, the smell of rain on hot pavement. "Earth is beautiful," she said. "But yes, it is also dangerous. We have storms that can destroy cities. We have earthquakes that break the ground open. We have animals that hunt and kill. We have diseases that can spread through millions of people." Lyrian's wings pulled tight against her body. "How do you survive such things?" "We adapt," Hannah said. "Our bodies are very good at changing. When it is cold, we make heat inside ourselves. When it is hot, we release water through our skin. When we are hurt, our blood becomes thick and hard to stop the bleeding. When poison enters our body, we can often fight it off." "That is not normal," Lyrian whispered. "Most species die from such things," Hannah nodded. "I know. When we first met other aliens, we were surprised too. We did not know that we were unusual. We thought everyone healed like us, fought like us, survived like us." She pulled out her tablet and showed Lyrian images from Earth's history. Ancient wars, burning cities, plague victims, soldiers in muddy trenches. "This is what we did to each other," Hannah said. "For thousands of years, we killed and died and killed again. But we also built. We created art and music and medicine. We learned from our mistakes, slowly, painfully, but we learned." Lyrian could not look away from the images. "Your species is terrifying." "Yes," Hannah agreed. "But we are also kind. The same humans who fought wars also built hospitals. The same hands that held weapons also held newborn babies. We are not simple creatures, Ambassador. We carry both darkness and light inside us. On the bridge, Captain Do-Yun stood before a holographic map. The Krath fleet surrounded Valoris Prime like a net of angry red dots. 50 warships. Maybe more. Each one bigger than the horizon. Lieutenant Yuna canned the map with narrow eyes. Direct attack is impossible. They will destroy us before we get close. Good thing we are not going to attack directly, Do-Yun said. Sergeant Taiwahan stepped forward. He was a giant of a man with shoulders wide enough to block doorways, but his voice was soft and calm. What is the plan, Captain? Do-Yun pointed at the map. The Krath expect us to fight like civilized species. Stay at distance. Exchange fire. Follow rules. They do not know how humans fight. And how do we fight? Yuna asked, though she already knew. Dirty, Do-Yun said with a small smile. Fast, close. We get inside their formation. So close that their own weapons become dangerous to their own ships. We create chaos. Yuna nodded slowly. They will panic. They are not used to enemies who attack without caring about survival. Exactly. Fear is a weapon. Maybe our best weapon. Do-Yun looked at his crew. The Krath have conquered many worlds, but they have never faced a species that evolved by fighting everything, including ourselves. They do not know what desperation looks like. Taiwu cracked his knuckles. And on the ground? Small teams. Fast movement. Hit them where they do not expect. Free the prisoners. Protect the civilians. Make them afraid of every shadow. The crew was quiet. They understood what this meant. Many of them might not come back. Do-Yun looked at each of them. I will not order anyone to do this. This is not our war. These are not our people. If anyone wants to leave, I will not blame them. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Finally, Yuna broke the silence. Captain, we followed you across the galaxy. We are not going to stop now because the odds are bad. Taiwu nodded. My grandmother survived a war when she was young. She always said that the right thing and the easy thing are never the same. I think she would be proud of us today. Hana's voice came through the speaker from the medical bay. I became a doctor to save lives. Today, I will save lives that are not human. That feels right to me. Do-Yun felt warmth spread through his chest. Pride, love, hope. These people were his family now. Then let us show the galaxy what Deathworlders can do, he said. Not because we love war, but because we hate seeing the innocent suffer. That is the human way. The horizon flew on through the endless dark. Ahead, a burning world waited. Behind, a galaxy watched in disbelief. 4 humans against an empire. The Krath did not know what was coming. They had conquered many worlds. They had broken many species. They thought they understood strength, but they had never met creatures born from a world that never stopped trying to kill them. Creatures who smiled at death because they had seen it so many times before. Creatures who protected strangers because once, long ago, they had learned that standing together was the only way to survive. The children of Earth were coming, and they were not afraid. Valoris Prime was dying. Captain Do-Yun stood at the bridge window and watched the planet burn. From space, he could see the orange glow of fire spreading across the surface. Beautiful crystal cities, built over thousands of years, now crumbled into dust. Purple forests became ash. Rivers turned black with smoke dot around the planet. Krath warships circled like hungry wolves. They were massive things, covered in spikes and weapons. Each one could destroy the horizon in seconds. 53 ships, Yuna reported. Her voice was steady, but her hands gripped her console tightly. And more coming. Do-Yun nodded slowly. Open a channel. All frequencies. I want to talk to their leader. The screen flickered. A face appeared. It was wide and flat, with 4 yellow eyes and a mouth full of sharp teeth. Warlord Gorvax. He wore black armor covered in metals and bones. A human ship, Gorvax said. His voice was deep and wet like something rotting. I heard you were coming. One small ship against my fleet? This is amusing. I am Captain Do-Yun Park of Earth, Do-Yun said calmly. I am giving you one chance. Leave this world. Take your ships and go. Gorvax laughed. The sound was ugly. Or what? You will fight us? You will die, little human. Your species is young and weak. You do not belong among the stars. Maybe, Do-Yun said. But before I die, I will teach you why the galaxy fears Deathworlds. The warlord's laughter stopped. Something flickered in his yellow eyes. Not fear, not yet, but curiosity. Destroy them, Gorvax commanded. Slowly, I want to watch. The channel closed. Across the void, Krath weapons began to charge. Do-Yun smiled. Yuna, execute the plan. The horizon screamed forward. Not away from the fleet. Not around it. Straight into it. They are firing, Yuna announced. Keep going, closer. Energy beams cut through space around them. The horizon twisted and rolled, dodging death by meters. Alarms screamed. The hull groaned. Closer, Do-Yun ordered. They flew between two massive warships. So close that Do-Yun could see the windows of the enemy bridge. The Krath inside stared in shock. No one attacked like this. No one was this crazy. Fire? Do-Yun said. The horizon's weapons were small. But at this range, they did not need to be big. Yuna targeted engines, communication towers, life support vents. She was not trying to destroy the ships. She was trying to blind them, confuse them, terrify them. An explosion ripped through the first warship's engine. It spun wildly, crashing into its neighbor. Both ships broke apart in a ball of fire. Two down, Yuna said. Keep moving. Do not stop. The horizon danced through the Krath fleet like a wasp among giants. The enemy ships fired wildly, hitting each other as often as they hit empty space. Panic spread. Orders became confused. Ships collided. Do-Yun watched the chaos with cold satisfaction. This was human warfare. Not noble. Not clean. But effective. On the surface below, Sergeant Taiwu led his team through the burning streets of the capital city. They wore light armor and carried human weapons. Only 20 soldiers against thousands of Krath, but they moved like ghosts. Taiwu had studied every war in human history. Every battle. Every trick. He knew how small groups could defeat large armies. Speed. Surprise. Fear. They found the first. Krath patrol near a collapsed building. 10 soldiers in heavy armor, dragging Valuri prisoners behind them. Now, Taiwu whispered. His team struck from the shadows. Human bodies were not as strong as Krath bodies. But human minds were faster. Human reflexes were sharper. And humans knew how to hurt things that were bigger than them. They had been doing it for 1,000,000 years. The fight lasted 12 seconds. 10 Krath soldiers lay still on the ground. The human team had 2 injuries. Neither was serious. The Valuri prisoners stared at their rescuers with huge silver eyes. They were small and fragile, their wings torn, their bodies covered in bruises. You are safe now, Taiwu said gently. He knelt down so he would not seem so tall. We are here to help. But how? A young Valuri asked. You are so few. Taiwu smiled. We are enough. In a broken hospital, Dr. Hana worked without rest. Valuri wounded lay everywhere. Their healers did not know what to do. They had never seen such violence before. This one is dying, a Valuri healer said, pointing at a patient with a deep wound. We cannot stop the bleeding. Hana looked at the wound. On Earth, this would be serious but survivable. She pulled out her kit and went to work. What are you doing? The healer asked, watching in horror as Hana cut into the patient. Surgery, Hana said. I am going inside to fix what is broken. You cannot do that. The body is sacred. If you cut it, the spirit will escape. Hana did not stop. Your spirit is not in your flesh. It is in your will to live. And right now, this person wants to live. I can see it in their eyes. So I will help them. She worked for an hour. The Velouri healer watched, terrified but unable to look away. When Hannah finished, the patient's wound was closed. The bleeding had stopped. "They will live," Hannah said, wiping sweat from her face. The healer fell to their knees. "How? How is this possible?" "On Earth we learn to fight death itself," Hannah said. "Every disease, every injury, every poison. We refused to accept that healing was impossible. And slowly we got better at it." She looked at the rows of wounded Velouri. So many needed help. "Now," she said, rolling up her sleeves, "let me teach you." Above the planet, the battle continued. The horizon had destroyed 8 enemy ships and crippled many more. But the Krath were adapting. They were spreading out, coordinating better. The trap was closing. "We cannot keep this up," Yuna warned. "They are learning." "We do not need to win," Do-Yun said. "We just need to buy time. Time for Taiwu to free the prisoners. Time for help to arrive." "What help?" The coalition refused. Do-Yun smiled grimly. "The coalition refused. But I have been sending broadcasts since we arrived. Every image, every message. The whole galaxy is watching. And when they see what we are doing here, some of them will feel ashamed. Shame is a powerful thing. Even for aliens." Another blast rocked the ship. Sparks flew from broken consoles. A crew member cried out in pain. The horizon was dying. But it was still flying. Still fighting. The Deathworlders were not finished yet. The horizon was broken. Half its systems were dead. Fire burned in 3 sections. The hull had holes in it that crew members had sealed with their own bodies. Until emergency walls could close, Captain Do-Yun sat in his command chair, blood running down his face from a cut on his forehead. He did not wipe it away. "There was no time, report," he said. "Engines at 30%, Yuna answered. Her arm was wrapped in bandages, but she had refused to leave her station. "Weapons mostly gone. Shields completely gone. How many enemy ships left?" 32. "And they are grouping together. They are not going to make the same mistakes again." Do-Yun looked at the screen. The Krath fleet had pulled back and reformed into a tight formation. At its center, the largest ship floated like a mountain of black metal. "Gorvax's flagship. He is coming down to the surface," Yuna said. "Our sensors show his shuttle heading toward the capital. He wants to finish this personally." Do-Yun closed his eyes. This was it. The moment when everything would be decided. "Yuna," he said quietly, "I need you to do something for me. Anything, Captain. I need you to ram the flagship." The bridge went silent. Everyone turned to look at Do-Yun. Yuna's face was pale, but her voice did not shake. "Direct collision course?" "Yes, if we destroy his command ship, the fleet will break apart. Without Gorvax to lead them, they will lose their will to fight. We will not survive." "I know, but we will win." Yuna stared at him for a long moment. Then she nodded. "I will do it." "But you are not staying aboard." "What?" "You need to go to the surface. Taiwu needs help. The refugees need a leader, and ... She paused, her voice finally cracking. "Someone has to survive to tell our story." Do-Yun wanted to argue. He wanted to stay with his ship, with his crew. But he knew she was right. The mission was not about glory. It was about saving lives. "The escape pods," he said. "Launch them before the collision. Save as many as you can, of course." Yuna smiled through her tears. "Did you think I would let everyone die? I'm not that bad at math." Do-Yun stood. He looked around the bridge at his crew. These people had followed him into impossible odds. They had fought and bled and never complained. "Thank you," he said. "All of you. I am proud to have served with you." Then he ran to the shuttle bay. On the surface, Sergeant Taiwu had gathered all the survivors at the last stronghold. It was an old temple, built from white crystal. Thousands of Velouri huddled inside, along with his remaining soldiers, and outside, the Krath army was coming. Taiwu stood at the entrance, watching the enemy approach. Hundreds of soldiers. Heavy tanks. Flying machines with weapons that could level buildings and in the center of it all, a shuttle landed. The doors opened. Warlord Gorvax stepped out. He was even bigger in person. 3 meters tall, covered in black armor, his 4 yellow eyes burning with anger. The chaos in space had embarrassed him. He had come to restore his honor with blood. "Human!" Gorvax roared. His voice echoed across the ruins. "Come out and face me, or I will burn every creature in that temple." Taewoo looked back at the Veluri children hiding in the shadows. Their silver eyes were wide with fear. They were so small, so helpless. He thought about his grandmother. She had survived a war when she was young. She had told him stories about dark times, about monsters that seemed impossible to defeat, about ordinary people who stood up anyway. The right thing and the easy thing are never the same, she had said. Taewoo stepped outside. The Krath soldiers raised their weapons. But Gorvax held up his hand, stopping them. "You challenge me?" The warlord laughed. "One small human against me? I do not challenge you," Taewoo said calmly. "I am going to kill you." Gorvax's laughter died. For a moment something strange crossed his alien face. Surprise, confusion, then rage. He charged. Taewoo had fought many enemies. Human criminals, alien pirates, machines gone wrong. But he had never faced anything like this. Gorvax was fast. Too fast for his size. His claws tore through the air like blades. Taewoo dodged, rolled, ducked. He could not match the warlord's strength. But he did not need to. Humans had been killing things bigger than them for a very long time. He used the broken ground, made Gorvax stumble on debris. He stayed close, where the warlord's long arms could not swing properly. He aimed for joints, gaps in the armor, weak points that every creature had. Gorvax roared in frustration. He had never fought like this. His enemies always stood still, always followed rules. This human was like water, flowing around every attack, but Taewoo was getting tired. His lungs burned. His legs screamed. He was only human. And humans had limits. A claw caught his shoulder. He flew backwards, crashing into a broken wall. Blood poured from the wound. Gorvax walked toward him slowly. "You fought well, little human. Better than any creature I have faced. But it is over now." Taewoo looked up at the sky. A light was growing brighter, moving fast. Too fast, he smiled. "Look up," he whispered. Gorvax turned his head. The horizon fell from the sky like an angel of death. It was burning, broken, beautiful. Yuna had aimed true. The ship struck the Krath flagship in orbit. The explosion lit the sky like a second sun. For a moment, everyone stopped. Krath and Veluri alike stared at the heavens. In that moment, Taewoo moved. He pulled the knife from his belt. The blade was old, simple, steel made on Earth, carried through 100 battles. He drove it through the gap in Gorvax's armor, through the flesh beneath, into the heart. The warlord looked down at the human clinging to him. His yellow eyes were wide with shock. "Impossible," he whispered. "Nothing is impossible," Taewoo said. "That is the first thing we learn on Earth." Gorvax fell. The ground shook. The Krath soldiers stared at their dead leader. Taewoo pulled out his knife and stood. His body was broken. Blood ran from a dozen wounds. But he was still standing. "Your warlord is dead," he announced. "Leave now, or I will kill every single one of you." He was one man against hundreds. He could barely stand. He had no chance, but the Krath did not know that. They saw a human standing over their god. They saw a creature from a death world who refused to die. They saw something that frightened them more than any weapon. They saw someone who was not afraid. The Krath army turned and ran above. Escape pods fell from the sky like stars. The crew of the Horizon, battered but alive. Yuna had kept her promise. Taewoo fell to his knees as the Veluri poured out of the temple. They surrounded him, their gentle hands trying to stop his bleeding. "You saved us," they cried. "You saved us all." Taewoo smiled weakly. In the distance he could see a shuttle landing. Do-Yun was coming. "We did," he whispered. We really did? 3 days had passed since the battle. The Krath fleet was gone, scattered across the stars like leaves in the wind. Without Gorvax, they had no purpose. They fled back to their territory and closed their borders. Valoris Prime was quiet now. Not the quiet of death, but the quiet of healing. Captain Doyun sat on a broken piece of crystal in what used to be a garden. His wounds were bandaged. His uniform was torn and dirty. He had not slept in 2 days. Around him, the wreckage of war stretched in every direction. Burned buildings, shattered streets, smoke still rising from distant fires. But among the ruins, the Valuri moved. They were not hiding anymore. They were rebuilding. Human soldiers worked beside them, carrying supplies, moving rubble, helping the wounded. The Deathworlders and the gentle moth people working together. A shadow fell over Doyun. He looked up to see Elder Methus, the oldest leader of the Valuri. The elder was ancient, his wings faded to pale gray, his eyes clouded with age. But he stood straight and proud. "May I sit with you?" Methus asked. Doyun nodded. The elder lowered himself onto the crystal with slow, careful movements. For a long time they sat in silence, watching the work continue. Finally, Methus spoke. "I have lived for 400 years. I have seen many things, but I have never seen anything like what you did." "We did what we had to do," Doyun said. "No," Methus shook his ancient head. "You did what you chose to do. There is a difference. The Coalition chose to do nothing. You chose to fight. Why?" It was the same question everyone asked. Doyun had thought about it many times. The answer was simple, but it was hard to explain to creatures who had never lived on a world that wanted to kill them. "On Earth," he said slowly, "we have a very old idea. We call it courage. It does not mean being unafraid. It means being afraid and doing the right thing anyway. It means standing up when standing up might kill you. But why develop such an idea? What use is courage if it leads to death?" Doyun smiled sadly. "Because on our world, everything was trying to kill us. The weather, the animals, the diseases, even each other. If we only did safe things, we would have died long ago. Courage was how we survived." Methus was quiet for a moment. "And helping strangers? Risking everything for people you have never met? That is the other part of what we learned. Alone, humans are weak. We are not the fastest or the strongest. But together we can do anything. And helping others, even strangers, makes us stronger. It brings us together. It gives us something to fight for." The elder nodded slowly. "Your species frightens me, Captain. Your history is full of blood. Your world made you into predators. And yet, here you are, healing our wounded and feeding our children." "That is who we are," Doyun said. "We are not simple creatures. We carry both the darkness and the light. We have the capacity for terrible violence. But we also have the capacity for great kindness. We choose which one to use." In the makeshift hospital, Dr. Hana finished teaching her last class. 20 Valuri healers sat before her, their silver eyes bright with new knowledge. They had learned things that would have taken them centuries to discover alone. How to stop bleeding. How to fight infection. How to refuse death. "Remember," Hana said as the class ended, "medicine is not magic. It is just stubbornness. You look at death and say no, over and over again. Sometimes death wins, but sometimes if you refuse to give up, you win instead." A young healer raised their hand. "Dr. Hana, will you stay and teach us more?" Hana smiled. "I cannot stay forever, but I will make sure others come. Human doctors who can share what we know. The galaxy has many wounded people. Maybe we can help them together." The young healer bowed their head. "We were so wrong about your kind. We thought you were monsters. But you are healers." "We are both," Hana said honestly. "That is what makes us complicated. But today we chose to be healers. And that is what matters." Outside the city, Sergeant Taiwu sat on a hill with a group of Valuri children. His wounds were wrapped in thick bandages. He should have been resting in bed. But the children had asked for him, and he could not say no. "Tell us another story about Earth," a small Valuri asked. Her wings were still healing, patched together with human medicine. Taiwu thought for a moment. "Have I told you about the ocean?" The children shook their heads. The ocean is a body of water so large you cannot see the other side. And inside it live millions of creatures. Some are tiny, smaller than your finger. Some are bigger than our largest ships. There are creatures with 8 arms and creatures with no arms at all. There are fish that glow in the dark and fish with teeth longer than my arm. The children stared at him in wonder. And humans, he continued, learn to travel across this ocean. In small boats made of wood. They faced storms that could sink them. Monsters that could eat them. Weeks without seeing land. But they kept going. Because they wanted to see what was on the other side. Were they not afraid? They were very afraid, Taiwu said. But fear is not the opposite of courage. Fear is what makes courage possible. Without fear, there is nothing to overcome. A small Valuri climbed onto his knee, careful not to touch his bandages. "Sergeant Taiwu, will you come back and visit us?" He looked at the child's trusting silver eyes. On Earth, children looked at soldiers differently. With fear sometimes. With respect. But not like this. Not with pure innocent trust. "Yes," he said softly. "I will come back. I promise." 1 week later, coalition ships finally arrived at Valorous Prime, dozens of them. Medical vessels, supply ships, construction equipment. The galaxy had watched the broadcast of the battle. They had seen 4 humans do what their entire alliance would not. They were ashamed. And shame, as Doyun had predicted, was a powerful thing. Ambassador Lyrian stood before the Galactic Coalition Assembly. The same room where she had begged for help. The same faces that had looked away, but now they were looking at her, waiting. "You call them Deathworlders," she said. Her voice was different now, stronger. "You see their scars and their strength. You hear about their violent history. And you feel fear." The alien ambassadors shifted uncomfortably. "I felt that fear too," Lyrian continued. "When they came to our world, part of me wondered if we were trading one enemy for another. But I was wrong." She gestured to the human delegation standing nearby. Captain Do-Yun Park, Lieutenant Yuna Kwan, her arm still in a sling. Sergeant Tae Woo-han leaning on a cane, Dr. Hannah Choi, tired but smiling. "These are not monsters," Lyrian said. "They are the proof that kindness can survive anything. That hope can grow in the harshest soil. They came from a world that tried to kill them every day. And instead of becoming cruel, they became brave. Instead of becoming selfish, they became protectors." She turned to face the humans directly. "When we pleaded for help, you answered with bravery. You asked nothing in return. You expected nothing. You simply came because we needed you. And for that, the Valuri will never forget." Do-Yun stepped forward. The whole galaxy was watching through the broadcast cameras. "We did not come for glory," he said. "We did not come for power. We came because someone was suffering and we were able to help. On Earth, we have a saying, the only thing necessary for evil to win is for good people to do nothing." He looked around the room at the alien faces. "We choose to do something. Every time. Even when it is hard. Even when it is dangerous. Because that is what it means to be human. Not our strength. Not our violence. Our choice to stand up for others." The assembly was silent. Then slowly, one ambassador began to clap. Then another. Then the whole room filled with the sound of 100 species showing their respect. Yuna leaned close to Do-Yun. "Nice speech. I meant every word." "I know. That is what made it work." 1 year later, a new ship launched from Earth, the Horizon. 2, bigger than the original, faster, stronger, a joint project between Earth and Valorous Prime. On its hull, painted in silver, were 2 symbols. A human star and a Valuri wing. Inside, a crew of both species prepared for their first mission. Another world was in trouble. Another people needed help. As the ship lifted into the sky, Do-Yun watched from the ground. Beside him stood Elder Methus. Will they succeed? The elder asked. Do-Yun smiled. They are Deathworlders. They will find a way. The horizon too disappeared into the stars. A new chapter beginning. A new story to be told. The galaxy had changed forever. Not because of weapons or war, but because a few humans had shown everyone what was possible when you refused to look away from suffering, when aliens pleaded for help. The Deathworlders had answered with bravery, and the universe was better for it.